Hi, my name is Miles McDonald, and I'm going to be talking about classical theory in organizations. First, the definition. Classical theory is a traditional view of organizations that focuses on three main things: repetitive and easy tasks, reliable structure, and finding the most efficient way to do things. It's like a machine. In that it has replaceable parts and a balanced strain throughout the system. Now, what I mean by strain is not any one part is having too much pressure on it so that it breaks. So everything should potentially wear out at the same time, but most things don't wear out at the same time. Just like how different challenges have different effects on people, or rather, different challenges some people can deal with more than others. At least at the beginning. A good quote from one of my resources for this is: workers are looked at as parts within the organizational machine, in that they are really good at doing one thing, and that's what they're trained to do. But the problem with this is if one part fails, the whole machine might have to stop just to replace that one part before it can go again. It works very, very efficiently, so that's not the biggest problem. Now, there's pros and cons with this kind of thinking. But first, I'm going to give you guys some examples so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I say organizations. Here are some examples that are in daily life that you can use to kind of get a perception of this. An army is an excellent example where there's the management structure, and when you are told to do something, you go and do it. That is your job, that is your purpose, that is what you do. You're like a machine. Retail is another great example where checkers, cashiers, and baggers, and managers, and maybe not managers, but stockers, everyone has a job, and they go and they do that job. Managers kind of oversee everything, and that's their job, but everyone else just has their own job, and that's what they do. Fast food, especially McDonald's, is a wonderful example of this. It's very well used. This is why it wasn't the first thing I mentioned. Now, some notable theorists that are important for this. Frederick W. Taylor, he invented what he called scientific management, which was basically the beginning of this whole theory. He realized that things could be more efficient, and he timed studies, he standardized tasks, and trained people to be specialized in certain things. And he just kind of started this whole thing, which there's an excellent story about him. I believe it was him. He was figuring out that, hey, this certain shovel size works best for everyone. Let's just have everyone use these shovels, and standardize that, and told people the best way to do things to shovel, and then documented it and watched it, and it had a dramatic increase in productivity, efficiency, and money because a lot more was being done faster and better. Which it's a great example of this whole thing. Max Weber, he focused on what he called bureaucratic management, which basically, from what I gather, he is like, hey, let's have rules so that it's all fair, and so that to keep things efficient, and that another very important part of this. Henry Fayol, I think that's how you say it, he focused on what he called administrative management, which basically he identified the key functions, and a lot of the terms that he came up with are still used in the workplace today. But he also realized that using classical theory in everything could lead to problems. Especially considering how it's not very personal. Here are some of the problems. Classical theory, when a business is focused and set up in classical theory only, it's not very personal, and it kind of just discourages creativity and innovation, and it can't adapt to change, or it's very, very difficult. Imagine you build the most perfect car for like driving and going fast and stopping, everything. It's perfect, but then you show up and everyone's using boats now. It's not gonna work the same. Especially if now you're the only one with a car and everyone uses boats. It doesn't work. That might seem like a far-fetched example, but imagine how many things shut down. Remember how many things shut down when COVID happened. No one was ready for that. And in a way, we still do use classical theory in a lot of things to keep things efficient. Maybe not everything, but we use a mix of different things, from what I understand. And I think that by using multiple theories and like a mix of them, depending on the organization and what they're doing, what they're focused on, they can not only survive but thrive. And I think that's wonderful. You're my works cited, and now I am going to show you. You'll see some of these slides again, but I'm going to show you a fun thing I put together that hopefully will help you remember. Thanks.
Classical theory in organizations. Classical theory is just a few focused on thoughts, easy tasks, reliable structure, and finding efficiency. Like a machine. Replacement parts, and balance strain, and balance strain. And if one fails, it affects us all. It affects us, everyone. And no one leaves until they're done. It's a crime. It's really, really, really hard to rhyme. But there's pros and cons. Some examples do include the army, stores, and food. Consistent and simple, and especially on repeat. No one cares that you're on repeat. Human needs and motivation. Why can't I get reputation? I can't do this all my life. And although Fred says it's science and Max says it's reliance, I think Henry's on the ball. Although it's useful in theory and useful for efficiency, as you can see, it's very, very dumb. It's very dumb. It's very dumb. It's very dumb. It's very dumb.